I'm a communications coach. I'm an expert in this field. And not just that, I train children. I've been in this space of training young children, teenagers as well, for over 20 years. That is core. So a lot of experiences have been gathered over the years. So today, I'll be sharing with us on the topic, what every children's teacher needs to know. It's so important that we share this, so I have put together some of my experiences that I'm going to be sharing with you. I wouldn't say that you find this in books, but what I'm sharing with you today is a practical experience that I have gathered over the years. So you just journey with me as we take on this session. So the first thing I would like to establish here is that if any children's church, just take this. This is a word on the marble. If any children's church needs to succeed, one of the things that can make a children's church to either succeed or fail is one thing. It's either you have it or you do not have it. And that is love. L-O-V-E. I believe that is not strange to us because we know that the foundation of the church is also love, is founded on love. Jesus Christ came just because of the love he has for mankind. So if any children's church would thrive, succeed, and if that children's church wants to remain a success, then love must not be taken out of the system. That is the foundation. That's the foundation. So why love? From my experience, children know anybody who truly have a genuine love for them. They know. They know when you're true. They're like spirits. It's amazing to know that when a child, sometimes people don't know this, when a child sees you and the child is not warming up to you so frequently, even though you are a teacher, then there's a question mark somewhere. It could be the fault of the teacher, and the teacher doesn't truly love the child, or it could be the child. So I wouldn't want to place it on the teacher most of the time. But love is so fundamental for the growth of any children's church. So if you're starting a children's church, you're going to be a team, you're going to be coordinating a children's church, you're going to be a team leader in the children's church. You must drum this to your team, to all the children's teachers. And one of it is that the child knows when you truly love or not. Every child knows. Okay, I'll give you this practical example of a little girl. Was I the teens coordinator then? Okay, I was a teens coordinator for 10 years. I was children's coordinator for 10 years, or 9 years, thereabouts, close to 10 years. So for like 20 years, I was coordinating both the teens church and the adult church at different times. Now, there was this little girl when, this girl was at the age of 2 years. I wasn't her teacher. But there was something she did then. This was years ago. Today she's a graduate, preparing, to be a wife. But I'm referring to her growing up. Each time she was pressed, she wants to ease herself. She doesn't know how to talk to any. She doesn't talk to any teacher. She comes wherever I am. She comes straight to me. And the moment I see Demilade, I carry her immediately. She didn't tell me, she didn't give me that duty. But the moment I see her standing beside me, I carry her immediately. Do you know what she does each time she comes to meet me? She doesn't know how to say, I want to ease myself, because she was still young. But the moment I see her, I just grab her and I run. baby, I run to the restroom, take off her panties, and then she uses herself and she looks at me and smiles. Every Sunday, that was my routine with her. Nobody told me to do that. So it's expedient. She knew that I love her. She knew that this auntie loves me. And she doesn't fake it. Children know it when you're faking the love you show to them. It's glaring. They're like spirits. Children are like spirits, even though we all are spirit beings. It's just that we do not give attention to our spirit beings most of the time. We are too physical. We are too physical. That's why we do not really command signs and wonders when you are always physical and natural. So children know when you love them. Love to children can mean so many things. But one of the ways to show love is to give attention to every child and do not discriminate. So all the points I'll be talking about now is they are coming from the broad message, which is love. Remember, I'm sharing this from my experience. Every time a child sees you, perhaps you might be a new teacher to the child. The child doesn't really know you, but somehow they observe you from a bit of a distance to see who this teacher is. But by the time they have observed you for some time, they warm so well to you. They cling to you. They soak you in. You become their anthem at home. Whatever you tell them, they tell their parents. Whatever you do, they want to do. Whatever you say, they want to say. If they love you so much, they want to be like you. They will tell you they want to become teachers just because of you. Children told me all of that. I'd like to be a teacher because of Auntie J. And not just that, they write all manners of love notes. Love you, because you show genuine love. And one of the ways to show genuine love is to treat all the children alike. That comes to my next point. As a teacher, do not discriminate. It injures the children's mind. It injures them psychologically. You get them thinking and not getting solution to their thoughts. Some that are confident will talk to their parents that I'm not happy. Why? This person, and whatever did this, or uncle that, or Mr. this did that to me. And each time he doesn't do the same to this other person. So you get them thinking, they begin to think, what exactly is my problem? They ask themselves if they have problems. So it's a bad way of treating children. Discrimination is injurious to their psychology, their psyche, because psychologically, you have hampered some part of their thoughts. They are unable to think healthily as children. So do not discriminate. If a child does what is wrong, treat every child alike. Yeah, this usually happens in some places where some children are well dressed and some are not so well dressed. Because they are so well dressed and they're looking so wealthy, you tend to show them love, more emotions and more attachments. No, it's wrong. You must see every child from the eye of God, just the way God sees every one of us. Some of us, because of the environment we came out from an environment, a family where discrimination was the norm and is the norm. And you are also used to it. So you also, who is coming to teach, what background are you coming from? So if you have to teach in children's church, then you must recalibrate your mind, have a mind resetting to understand that you are not in the world. You don't do things the way the world does it. The world do it, pardon me. But you do things the way God wants you to do it. So love must be the central point of your action. So if you are disseminating an information, you are teaching, it must be centered on love. Your love must be palpable. The children must be able to touch your love, that this auntie, or she scolds me, but I know she loves me. So it's so important to know that every child knows and can feel love. They can feel love from your eyes, from your tone of your voice, from your action and everything. Love can be seen and can be felt. So do not discriminate, whatever it is. Don't treat a child better than the other. We are the same blood that flows in the one that came in with some nice outfit or some fantastic, or that gave you gifts. Or when they're having their birthdays, some give you some special gift, and some will just come with their biscuit and groundnut. They are the same. They are the same. You don't treat anyone specially. Next point is constructive correction. It's good to correct children, because in children's church, one of the things we do that we do not stop doing is to correct. We keep correcting and correcting. I'll give you a typical example of a child who usually, that child naturally was a rude girl, and she wasn't the only one. She was the oldest, and then she affected the younger ones. But parents they didn't really care. Some teachers will go report to the parents. They don't feel like she's rude. Yeah, that's her character. That's how she is. She talks a lot. That's how she likes to argue. Right. Now, when that girl, when one of us those days wanted to correct the child, two of them, they were always shouting. They want to shout her down. They want to correct her. See, one of the ways, if you want a child to, she was a teenager anyway. No, she was a preteen. If you want a child to buy into you, buy into your thought line, or buy into your advice, it's not by shouting. What shouting does is to keep them. Why are you shouting if I'm standing in front of you? You are shouting because your mind is far from me. You are close to me physically, but your mind is far from me. You can't speak to my heart. That's the only reason you shout. Because when you want to shout, you shout because someone is far away from you, right? That you are shouting so that the person can hear you. But in this case, the child is standing right in front of you, yet you're shouting. It shows that there has been a disconnect for some time between you and the person. The mind disconnect has been there. You haven't been showing love to the child. So the space has been there. So you are using shout to fill up the space to see if the child will. No, it doesn't work that way. Do you know that because these two teachers were always shouting at the girl changed. And that was the end of the girl's relationship. At the time, she stopped following the father to the church. She started her own church because when she was a teenager, she went to school. The moment she got into school, that was the end. That was just the end. She got married. Because even as a lady, she was still viewing the teachers that way. So there is a way to do it. If you want to correct a child, there are some corrections that are better done privately. Some corrections are good to be done openly if it will not embarrass the child. But all manners of correction can be done privately, but not all correction can be done openly. Some could destroy the child. So teachers understand this. That's why as teachers need to be trained on psychology and emotional intelligence. You should understand that every child feels differently. Every child processes information differently. So there are some words you must not use for children. I'll give you a typical example. Recently, I was in a training and the coach made a statement which I found very fascinating to me. He said, only failures give excuses. During the training, he was always giving that as an interlude just to get people's mind reshaped and get connected to the lesson. But do you know that when I used it for some children during training, I didn't like it. I didn't like the vibe, what it released into the atmosphere. When I told the children, do you know, I said, only failures give excuses. My spirit rejected it. I said, no, you don't tell them. Don't let them hear words, negative words. Don't tell them failure. Don't plug that into their system. Just, can you make it, can you construct, make it constructive for them so that when they listen to it, it's not destroying something. Don't inject the word failure into them. I said, success. I changed it. I said, if you want to be successful, stop giving excuses. So they hear the word success. because success is positive. Success is a word that drives them, right? So it's important to understand that children, that there's not every information that you can use for adults that should be used for children, because it's still grooming their minds. So as children's teachers, you should never, ever correct children in public at all times. It can destroy them. It can affect them. They can just run away from you. They can just, I had another girl, young girl, she was also a teenager like that. Okay, this was what happened to her. Now, her case was a funny story. She came in with this hair, blue color attachment. Those days, we're talking about like 6 years ago. It wasn't popular, not like it is today that we have orange, we have yellow, people wear all manners of colors like butterfly now, you know, so no color is not wearable. But she wore blue, and teachers tried correcting. I know they were correcting her. A teacher now told her, because she just made the hair, he said, you must take off this hair. Guess what the teenager said? She said, she said, I will never take it off. By the way, I'm even going to the university tomorrow, so you won't see me anymore. That was the last time we saw her. There is a way to correct children. If you want them to grow up, if you want them to always listen to the word of God that God has put. Remember, Jesus was not always condemning. So it is a way to criticize constructively. Remember, when you're correcting them, when you're correcting children, have this in mind. Is it constructing them? Is it making them better? Or you want to make them feel bad and cry and cry and cry, then you leave them? No. It's like bread, butter, bread. You scold them, you put the butter, you like patting their back. After that, you do a little of scolding again. So when they eat it together and you know that, okay, I'm eating this because I know that she has shown me love, also she has corrected me. Let them know that you're correcting them because you love them. So constructive criticism should be your focus, and not destructive correction. I call it correction. For children, not criticism. For children, we call it constructive correction and not destructive correction. The next point is the word listen. Listen, listen, listen to children. Listen when they have something to tell you. However busy you are, stop whatsoever you're doing and listen to them. Why am I saying this? Some children come from homes where parents are not available. Father is not available. I'm talking about those days. Today, the situation has gone really worse because some parents are even home doing running their programs, yet they are not present in a child's life. The child might have something to tell you. The child might just want to let you know that I'm going through this emotional pain. But the child calls for your attention and you are so busy to give attention to the child. You must listen to the child. Whatever the child wants to say, a child wants to say, you have to listen. Why must you listen as a teacher? You have been in this world for how long? For 20 years, if you're 20 years, for 25. By the way, I started the teens church. I started teaching in the teens church at the age of 20 years. Today I'm over 40 years. So my experience has been for over 20 years. You start teaching, you are 25, you are 26, you are 27, 28, whatever age you are. You have seen so much, you have seen a lot. But this little girl is inquisitive. She's just 8 years and she's hearing something she doesn't understand. Give attention and don't shush the child. If the child comes, that auntie, talk by, please, what is the meaning of sex? Do not say, shut up! Who told you to mention that word? Don't! No. That's an error. That's an error. If the child goes to another person to ask the same question, and the person is someone who is an immoral person, you can imagine what that person would say. You know, some people take advantage of children when they ask such questions. Oh, you want to know about sex? I will teach you. Come, I will teach you. And the person will use the child to practice And that is what the child knows about sex. So as teachers, you are called a teacher. You are molding lives. You are molding destiny. You are molding the future teacher. Because that child might want to become a teacher as well. So we need to give them attention because it's so much, a lot is going on in their mind that they need someone. As I am now, my daughter, my 8-year-old daughter, she asks questions a lot. And I answer questions. But sometimes they're not interesting to me. I don't feel like answering. I just push her to the dad. But do you know that even though I do not push her to the dad sometimes, she goes, say, Mom, what is the meaning? She reads the Bible. She wants to finish the Bible from the beginning to the end. So she like asking questions a lot. The recent one she asked now, I'm going to tell you. She said, the everlasting arm of God, that's the right arm of God. She was asking about the left arm. The left arm of God, what is it about the left arm? Why is God not talking about it? The father was the one responding to him. So children ask questions that are funny, questions that are, they could be so, you will say it's immoral, but the child needs to know why it's immoral. So answer every question a child is asking you. It's so important. That's it on listening, correct privately, more often than publicly. Don't shout at children, and I've mentioned that before. Shouting at them shows that you are distant from them. You have not been showing them so much. Why should you shout at someone you love? Why? Why should you shout at someone you truly love? You always be talking, you chat, how are you? How are you doing? Mom, I'm fine. If you truly show love and you are connected, you are up to date, you won't shout. The reason parents shout at their children is basically because they have not been in touch emotionally. They have not been in touch for some time. They love. There has been a vacuum for some time. So shouting is just the only way you feel that it can exact a point as a parent. But it's the poorest way because it has just revealed that you have not been in my life for 6 days, for 7 days, for 1 week, for 1 month, for 2 months. Now, there's this point I would like to make here. Now, I just put these few points together, but there's a point I'd like to make here about some teachers who speak ill about the parents of the children right in front of them. That's a blunder. So when you do that, the child feels bad and goes home to tell the parents. Sometimes the parents just decide not to come to the children's church and they say, okay, I don't want to go to church anymore because of what the child says. The parents won't think of coming to us as a teacher. We don't want to confront the teacher. We just say they don't like me, they don't like my child, they don't like us in the church. So you must know that you are representing Jesus Christ as a children's teacher. So how you represent him shows how well people will understand Jesus. So I'm still a children's teacher. I am for life a children's teacher. Represent Christ well. Do not misrepresent Jesus Christ by your action, by your words, by your attitude. Because these children, they read meanings more than you can think or imagine. They're so important, to us. They're important to the church because you are raising, some of them become pastors, they become evangelists, they become heads of different departments. But if you do not take your place properly to train these young children, the appropriate ways through your attitude, you'll be sending them out to the world. I think I have to stop here. This is just a few points. So the point, I'll just do a recap one more time so we can know that these are the points that we have taken. Talking about love. Love must always be the foundation. Love should be palpable. You should be able to touch it, even though it's not touchable. They can touch it from the way you give out your action towards the children, how much you show love to them. Do not discriminate. Make sure you love every child equally. Don't discriminate. They know when you don't truly love them. They know when you pretend. They know when you're always calling one person to just give the person a peck and a peck. What about the other ones? So they know. Be strict, be general with your strictness. Show love to everyone. Then correct constructively and not destructively. Use positive words to raise the children. Listen and listen and listen to them over and again. They have so much information, question to ask. They're just here for 8 years and they're still trying to understand the world they're in. So don't say, you are 8. Some teachers will just go, you at your age, you don't know this. Why should a child know it if she doesn't know it? How we should know if someone doesn't teach, if someone doesn't tell her? So answer every question, don't laugh at them. Because when you laugh at the child won't ask questions anymore. And if you want to have a vibrant children's church, ensure that you should, love is the foundation. When every child feels love, you see how beautiful the church will be. They will always be looking forward to coming to church. Not that they will start running to adult church and be hiding. When they see that you're coming, they know you're going to tell them to go to the children's church. They'll start hiding. I don't want to go, because they are not real with their love. Correct privately. You can do all corrections privately, but not all corrections can be done publicly. Don't shout at them, don't shout at them. Shouting at children just shows that you have not been connected with them for some time. There has been a disconnect. Don't speak ill of their parents, especially in front of them. If you know their parent, because you will always experience some parents are just irrational. You experience some parents. You call them, oh, this person's parent is stubborn. Don't say that to them in front of them. So the best you can do is to seek, the parents' attention, speak with the parents, especially some parents who don't really give their children snacks or who don't take care of their children. Seek their attention. So to speak to them so that they can do what is appropriate and train the children or whatever. Ensure that the rules, maybe their offerings, maybe their books, whatever it is that the child is not meeting up to standard with, communicate with the parents, and not by discussing or speaking ill of the parents right in front of the child. So these are the few points I have given. There's quite a number. There are more than this, but I feel we should just take it in chunk and then consume this. Thank you so much. I believe that we have been able to take a few lessons from what every teacher needs to know, what every children's teacher needs to know before they start their children's church. I pray that your children's church will be a success as you take on these few points. There are many more though. Thank you very much and have a good day. Bye.